Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up, hey. 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 Way down in the back.
T-A! We are live and on the road, baby. On the road, Zach, making our way downtown. Skidoo-doo. Headed down. We're headed up to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I guess Fort Smith tonight is where we'll be staying, Zach, to watch these Tigers try not to get into what everybody so eagerly wants to call a trap game, Zach. I just feel like everybody in the country, like, oh, it's trap game. And honestly, I have seen a lot of people pick Arkansas, Zach. What do you make of that? Like,
I kind of understand the trap game mentality, but to go as far as picking Arkansas, yeah, that's a little much, to be honest with you. I mean, this team just beat Alabama, and the Alabama team this year, yeah, they have their problems. Yeah, they're not completely the best Alabama team, obviously, that we've seen in the Nick Saban era, but it's an Alabama team regardless, and it's a Nick Saban coach team regardless that is always extremely competitive and really, really good. So I don't really have to agree. I don't really agree at all with those people that are saying that Arkansas is going to beat LSU. I understand the mentality. The spread's 3.5 right now. I really like LSU to cover that. So, I don't really get it. And this is a Brian coached LSU team. This isn't a Les Miles coached LSU team. A lot of people have talked about it. You know, Ed did a good job of getting his teams up for the game. And Brian Kelly has done really well in the month of November throughout his career. We know that very well. It's very well documented. I really don't think LSU will have any trouble. Maybe at the beginning out of the gate, you know, like they typically do. But I have a lot of faith in LSU to get the dub on Saturday.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't know if this is necessary. I mean, I get the idea that it's a perfect trap game. Like it kind of is, but I don't see that happening. But we'll get into all that, Zach, obviously, with the preview. And when we look at that, we got to talk about, Zach, I mean, the kickoff of a new era. Matt McMahon and the LSU basketball boys get it started on Wednesday night against the Kansas City Kangaroos. Zach, what was your initial coming off of the Wednesday night game? I mean, what is your initial takeaway?
I thought, you know, the guys that we expected to look good looked really good. You know, a lot of people expected a big game from Adam Miller, especially coming off the injury last year, and he looked amazing. I mean, he was 4 of 9 from 3-point. He was the leading scorer for both teams with 18. By the way, I will say I called it. I called the starting lineup. It was exactly as I said it.
You did.
Juice at the 1, Adam Miller. Yeah, Adam Miller at the 2, Mawani at the 3, Jalen Reed 4, KJ Williams at the 5. So yeah, I thought Adam Miller looked really, really good. I was really impressed with him, especially coming off the injury. KJ Williams looked good. He logged 13 points and kind of a sneaky night. I didn't think like when I went back and looked at the box score, I didn't realize it, but Justice Hill also had a pretty good night with 13 points. He was a guy that it didn't seem to really pop. I mean, obviously he had the big, long shot there at the end in the first half. which was really cool to watch. But didn't seem like anything jumped out to me. But then you go back and look at the box score, and like, oh crap, like he had a good night. I will say though, somebody that really impressed me off the bench, and they didn't like put up gaudy numbers, but Trey Hannibal looked really good off the bench. He's a guy that he's strong. He's got really good handles. We obviously know the fast break play that he made when he went behind the back and kind of did this, the reverse scoop. It was really awesome to watch that play.
Yeah.
But he looks like he just plays very aggressive, very fast. So that was encouraging. It kind of surprised me to see Derek Fountain as the first one off the bench. He came out there and looked really good, as you said the other night. He looked really good on defense, and I thought the same. He looked really good defensively. I thought we would see more of Sean Phillips, but we didn't. I think he only logged like 2 minutes. Didn't score any points. And also, we didn't see Terrell Ward. So what does this team look like with Terrell Ward? Reagan, I don't know what happened. I guess maybe you know. Did you hear anything about an injury? I mean, I'm assuming he's dealing with an injury. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. I don't know. Maybe he's dealing with an injury, but the only injury that I heard of was Cornelius was having shoulder problems, and he wasn't dressed for the game. So, but Tyrell was dressed and he didn't log a single minute. So that's gotta mean, that has to mean he's injured, in some capacity. I'm interested to see the team whenever he plays, because he was such a highly recruited guy and clearly has talent galore. So I want to see him worked in, once he's healthy. Am I freezing up some?
Just a little bit. Ryan said, "Is the cold weather making Reagan service freeze?"
Yeah,
they're traveling, so Reagan may be in and out a little bit.
Yeah, you have to bear with me. I mean, we're going through Arkansas. You know how it goes, especially in Arkansas.
Trashy service.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out what happened to Tyrell, because I haven't heard anything. I did, Zach, like the interesting thing is like he at Mississippi State he didn't run much at all. Like I think he maybe averaged 2 points a game, and not many minutes, but his play was impressive. I mean, obviously he's grown from his time at State in this offseason with Matt McMahon. But Zach, my initial thoughts on what we saw is that it's very apparent that this team, has some growing to do together on the court. I think that chemistry-wise, like it's there off the court because I know Juice was asked a question in a press conference. Have you had enough time to gel? And he was like, we live in apartments together here on campus, dorms. We're all together. We spent a lot of time together in the off season. So I think their chemistry as a team, like personally, is there, but it's different when you get into the game. So there's definitely some growing that's going to have to happen on the court in game. And that was my first, initial thought. Zach, what are some things that maybe they need to work on specifically, because obviously there was a lot of stuff that needed to be worked on. So what were some things that to you that stuck out that, hey, we need to get better at this?
I think a lot of this is going to come down to it being the first game, and like you said, the team having to gel together. Because even though they've been together, on campus and in person and building relationships, like you said, it's different when it comes to the game and being on the court. I definitely think that shot selections were very questionable at times. They didn't shoot really well. They shot, I think, right at 42%, which really isn't great. You want to be closer to 50, above the 50 range. And so 42% is not good. I mean, you're getting down there a little bit. So, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of that has to do with, again, it being the first game. Surprisingly, though, Reagan, they shot well from 3-point range,
Yeah, they did.
38%, which is a good number. That's a good number. Milwaukee Wilkinson looked really good with the 3 ball, as we know. I mentioned that on the first podcast that we started talking about it. Obviously, Adam Miller, fantastic from behind the arc. So, they can definitely shoot the ball from behind the arc. I think, that when it comes to inside the arc and inside the paint, that's going to have to, those mid range shots are going to have to come along a little bit.
No
I
doubt.
thought KJ Williams looked really good in the paint. He can definitely stretch it, but he definitely flexed his muscles and showed what he could do inside the paint on Wednesday night, which was really encouraging. But yeah, I really just think the mid-range game is going to have to be worked on a lot, and I think making smart shot selections. And as much as we hated it during the Will Wade era, leaving guys wide open for 3, for some reason that was a little bit of the case. It was a little bit of the case on Wednesday night. Luckily,
Yeah.
they didn't hit it. They were 4
Yeah.
of 25, so they took more 3-pointers than you. In large part due because you left some guys open and the
Yeah.
defense broke down. Like last year's team, we were so impressed because they were really good at holding opponents to 60 or less.
Right.
And obviously this is not a good opponent at all. And they were able to score on you a little bit, minus outside of the arch. They were not good outside the arch,
Right.
but they were able to score 63 points on you, even though they went 4 of 25 from the arc. So,
Yeah, it's not good. Not good.
they did have that big guy. I can't remember his name, Reagan, honestly.
A bald head dude.
Yeah, that tall, bald-headed kid that had a really good game. I don't remember his name, but anyways, he logged some really good minutes and did well for the Roos. So, there's definitely room for improvement. But I know you kind of mentioned it a lot whenever we were texting. So, what are some things that you saw that you feel needs to be worked on?
Say it one more time.
I said, I know you texted about it during the game, and you were kind of critical. I know there's a couple of 2 or 3 times you're like, this team's got a lot to work on. So
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you saw?
I think it was decision making that was a problem, and that includes shot selections, like you said. But one thing that really concerned me is there was about 3 times that they got a fast break, and they had they had numbers like it was 2-on-1 or 3-on-2, and they did not make like good decisions in the fast break. Like there was once, I think Trey Hannibal took it, and Adam Miller, it was 2-on-1, and Adam Miller was wide open. I mean, he was wide open because there was only one defender, and instead of dishing it and getting the easy bucket, Trey kept it and drew a charge. And then there was another time where a similar situation happened, and Juice did the exact same thing. And Matt McMahon was pretty upset about it. Like, he literally came out on the court and was like, "Hey, pass the." He didn't say this, but he said, "Pass the dang ball." He said a little bit more critically than we're supposed to say on here. But he's like, "Hey, pass the ball." Like, it was wide stinking open. So the decision making, the pass selections, the shot selections, fast break decisions, it weren't very good. So the team as a whole has got to, and that comes with trusting your players, or your, excuse me, not your players, your teammates, like having that chemistry on the court. So that's going to come with time to build that chemistry. Like we're in that moment. Trey Hannibal probably dishes it later on in the season, or Juice dishes it.
Yeah.
There was times when like the offense just seemed very unorganized. Um, like they just weren't making. I don't know. It just seemed like the sets that they were running and the things they were doing was kind of unorganized. And I think
Yeah.
again that goes back
I
to
agree.
chemistry because it felt like like there was times whenever you're watching a basketball game, you can see like the play developing, like what they're trying to accomplish. There were several times where it was like it looks like they're just out there playing street ball. Like what are we doing? And there was times when guys like held onto the ball way too long and had passes and lanes that they could have taken and just didn't. So the decision making has got to improve. The chemistry's got to grow together, and that comes with time, working together. So that was my critique. I mean, they got the win, and so you're happy for Matt McMahon that he gets his first win. But look, there's no question there's a lot to work on. You only beat this team by 11 points. And in all reality, I would say it was a closer game than an 11-point, deficit.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times when legitimately they could have taken the lead in the second half. They just weren't a good deep ball shooting team, and that helped you out. That's not going to be the case every time. Like you're playing Division I basketball, there's going to be teams that you run into that aren't Kansas City Kangaroos, and they're going to be able to hit them open shots.
Yeah.
And if you don't improve on that, you can lose some games you're not supposed to. Looking at the non-conference schedule, Zach, I think it's very obvious. It is very obvious that Matt McMahon scheduled this non-conference intentionally. There's not very many majorly difficult opponents, and I think he did that understanding that this team was gonna have to grow together. Like the same thing like with football, we got to do with basketball. We got to give this team time to gel together. Now, I'm not saying down the road, LSU is going to be a basketball team that's knocking off like Kentucky and Arkansas this year or Auburn, like LSU football just did, because I just don't think there was more pieces. I feel like on football that stayed behind, like crucial pieces to be able to do something like that, right? But this basketball team is completely remade, like
Yep.
completely. I mean, you got two returning players. Genuinely, I understand like Adam Miller returned, but the dude didn't play last year,
Yep.
right? So in all reality, you have two guys that came back from last year's team, and Justice Williams was a guy who came off the bench late, like middle of the season. Like he didn't play his first minutes until
I think it
the
was
Auburn
Auburn.
game. Yeah,
Yep.
it was the Auburn game. So it's a whole new team. It's going to take some time, Zach. It's just going to have to take some time.
And I'll also say, Reagan, pulling up the stats here. Let me see if I can add. There we go. Um, the personal fouls and turnovers is also a big concern. They turned the ball over 15 times. You got to get that number down. And then look at all your starters outside of Adam Miller. 3 fouls, 4 fouls, 3 fouls, 3 fouls. That number is going to have to get down,
Yeah,
especially moving forward, or else when you get in more physical ball games, you're going to get into foul trouble and have guys
right.
fouling out. I'll also say to go back one of the positive, you mentioned Justice Williams. Justice Williams, I thought, had a pretty good night too. Seemed like he was playing with a lot of effort. And I mean, I think he had like a
Yeah,
couple of times where he had some putbacks, after a missed shot. So we're going to see with how this season plays out. Of course, you got a better opponent coming up, 5 p.m. tomorrow night against Arkansas State. I'll be interested to see how that game goes against a better team. Arkansas
right.
State's not good. Arkansas State obviously is not good. They're better than Kansas City though. So you played Kansas City kind of close. How does this
Right.
game look? A couple comments, Reagan. Al Landry said, "I'm here. Let's go."
What up,
Al,
Al?
awesome to have you here. Floyd Davis. I don't know if I've maybe Floyd, maybe you've watched before. I don't know if I've ever seen you live, but glad to have you here with us, man. He said Miller looked good. The team needs to gel. Go
He said
Tigers.
jail right. He didn't say Yale. He said
Yeah,
jail. Look at that. Look at that.
JELL. There you go. Brandon Garner also said, I agree. Way too many scoreless minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, there were
But I
some
will say, Brandon,
droughts. There were
huh?
some droughts.
There was some droughts. But to score 74 with as many droughts as you had, encouraging. On the flip side of that, it's positive. So, Reagan, any more thoughts before we move on from basketball?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've kind of talked negativity only. So let me say this. Adam Miller, definitely. I know you said this. The dude can shoot, and that's going to be a big part of the team. Hey, KJ Williams had a double-double.
Yep.
That dude is he reminds me of Darius Days in his aggressiveness to get the board, his relentlessness to get the board. 13 points. I think he finished with 11 rebounds. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
He had
So
14 rebounds.
14 rebounds. Wow. So, yeah,
13 points.
great game from him. Really liked what I saw.
He played the most minutes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to be kind of your bulk minute guy. He'll probably play the most minutes on the entire team. But look, this team's going to grow together as you play through this non-conference schedule. That's why he scheduled it this way. I want to see what this team looks like after a few games under their belt. I think there's definitely some potential for this team. So that's my final thought there for basketball.
All right, guys. Well, let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to preview LSU versus the Little Piggies.
The Piggies.
We're going to be on their home field, but we're going to be sending them all the way home after we spank them. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back to preview LSU Arkansas.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
All right. We're back. So, unfortunately, we were not able to get any Arkansas fans / media on. I know. I'm sorry. I tried to get my buddy Louis to come on. He knows his stuff. He's a fan. He's not anybody crazy like special like media or anything like that. But a fan that really knows his stuff and has been following it for a long time. Luckily, though, we did contact Jacob Davis. Of course, Jacob Davis is the co-host of the Hog Talk and a publisher for Arkansas Fight. Appreciate Ben Brandon, buddy of mine, connecting me with Jacob. Unfortunately, Jacob was out of town, but he does want to come on and potentially talk some LSU Arkansas basketball when we get there. So I will definitely.
I'm sure that's what he wants to talk about. Nobody wants to come on the show for football. Don't come on for basketball. Okay.
I know, right? So we may have to give him a little heck for that, for coming on during basketball, but being out of town for football. Look, I'm sure he's a great guy. We haven't really gotten to know him yet, but excited to get to have him on and to talk nonetheless down the line. So Reagan, it's a trap game, man. LSU, they're going to stumble here. It's going to be a problem. Arkansas has got just tremendous talent on the other side of the ball. KJ Jefferson is completely healthy. Rocket Sanders is going to run all through this LSU defensive line. Ole Miss is going to beat Bama on Saturday, and LSU is going to have to worry about Ole Miss losing down the line to Mississippi State to make it into the SEC championship. I mean, what are your what are your thoughts early here? As we are just a few hours, not really long because it's an 11 a.m. game, early game. That's why y'all are heading down tonight and stopping. But just a few more hours until LSU and Arkansas kick this thing off, and you got to be extremely nervous if you're an LSU fan about this game, right, Reagan?
Yeah. Look. I don't want to be like overly confident, but guys, the ability to not make it a trap game is solely up to the players, and Brian Kelly has made that completely clear, fully clear, and I love that. Zach, if you watched LSU Gold, which we have, and if you haven't,
Right.
I will continue to advocate. Go spend $10 a month and get LSU Gold because it's worth it. That's my little plug. But if you watch LSU Gold, you know that Brian Kelly was mentioning the Arkansas game Monday of the Alabama week.
Yeah.
Monday. So his whole point was, hey, you got to prepare for this game. And, everybody's talking about we rise to the level of our opponent, and he practically called that, bull, and was like, hey, we rise to the level of our preparation. We don't rise to the level of our opponent. You take care of Alabama, guess what? You got to go play Arkansas at Arkansas. You got to take care of business. You continue to prepare. You don't rise to the level of the opponent, because then what's going to happen is you will fall into trap games and you will fall to the level of your opponent. Just as much as you rise, you will fall. So you rise to the level of your preparation. And Brian Kelly has made that very clear. Like, this is all about how your players think. And he even said in his Monday press conference, hey, if it's a trap game, you ain't been coaching them right. You ain't been teaching them how to think right. So for me, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah.
Because Brian Kelly and his staff has made, I mean, I don't know how many times, Zach, maybe, I don't know. It sounds like Brian Kelly talks about how you think, how you approach games, in your preparation, in your time applying your preparation. Like, they're constantly talking about your thought process. So I'm not too worried about this coaching staff having a problem with finding themselves in trap games. And guys, the reality is, KJ Jefferson is a question mark for this game. It's a question mark. Now, don't get me wrong.
He has not.
Hornsby.
I don't think he's thrown in.
He ain't been practicing it like hardly at all.
Yeah, and they are preparing, I think, for either or. From hearing from Sam Pittman,
absolutely.
And I think as late as Wednesday, KJ Jefferson wasn't throwing the ball. Our listeners fact check me on that. But
I think
very concerning for Arkansas.
Yeah, and look, let's not overlook Malik either. I think Malik is a very athletic player that can make plays with his feet. I mean, just as much like Jay Daniels can hurt you with his feet, so can Malik. And
I think I prefer KJ. KJ's banged up. You don't have to worry about his legs.
Correct. And honestly, Malik's legs are more dangerous. I mean, the problem with KJ is his size. He's so tough to get down. He gets in space and he's a problem. Malik gets in space and it's dangerous because he has speed. Like, I mean, I don't know if y'all seen him or not, but like, he's kind of built like Jaden, maybe a little bit bigger. But KJ is like a guy that's hard to muscle down, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, if it seems like LSU is going to be okay tomorrow. If we do what Brian Kelly has been preaching, I don't think we have anything to worry about, Zach, because we have continually got healthy over the last few weeks, especially with the bye week. we've gotten healthier and we have improved drastically. Arkansas has continually been in, just lost to Liberty and has gotten injured. And they had, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name. It's like Slusher or Slasher or something like that. Their DB,
Slusher.
and then another player who are suspended for this game. So they're definitely on the down right now, and LSU is definitely trending up right now. So I get the idea to think, oh, this is a trap game, but the reality is, I don't think it's a trap game because they're so like unhealthy and suspension right now. Like it's a trap game if they're fully healthy, ready to go, and they just got beat somehow miraculously by Liberty, which they did, and they were full health, ready to go. They're not. They're banged up, and they're coming off a loss, and
they got
it
dominated
seems
that
like they're
game
morally
outside of
down.
the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely, they did. So if LSU comes in with the right mindset and take care of business, they're going to be fine. And Zach, it's a favor, regardless of the Alabama win, regardless of the Liberty loss, regardless of the KJ Jefferson injury, this matchup favors LSU. Here's why. Ole Miss is a favorable matchup for LSU. Alabama is a favorable matchup for LSU. Why? Because they are a run-heavy offense. LSU struggles to compete against elite receivers. We saw that in the Tennessee game. Our secondary is not as strong as we are used to. So when it comes up to stopping and holding guys like Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyatt of Tennessee with a quarterback like Hendon Hooker, our guys, I don't think are like, it's not Stingley out there. It's not Flott out there. It's not Christian Fulton out there or Grant Delpit or, those Patrick Peterson, Tre'Davious White, who can go out on an island and compete with the best of the best. These are some transfers that have come in, no doubt have played good, no doubt. But we're not used to, this isn't what LSU is used to talent-wise for DBs. But our defensive front has been really stinking good at stopping the run. So with a run-heavy offense like Ole Miss, we saw the result of the game. A run-heavy now I would say Alabama's a little bit more balanced. So that was good to see that we did well defensively in the secondary and were able to contain the run. But I think this is the most lopsided, like, Arkansas is very run heavy, and you know it because Rocket Sanders is the rushing leader in the SEC because they run him so stinking much.
Yeah.
So I really like the matchup in general, regardless of all the injuries and the trap game. It's just a favorable matchup for LSU, Zach. So those are that's my initial thought. Like it's a game that works well for LSU's defense right now.
So I do think it's surprising that even Vegas has this at a 3.5 point spread. And we've seen that rise a little bit. I think it started as low as 2.5 or something like that. And then it rose up to 3 and now it's up to 3.5.
Wow.
So not a whole lot of movement right now, but ESPN Power Index favors LSU pretty heavily. 72.5% to 27.5% in favor of LSU to win this game. So I'm interested to see why the line is so much in favor of Arkansas. But also, they have the over under of 61.5. I think that might be a little low considering how LSU's offense is playing right now, but maybe they're factoring in Arkansas's offense and how they're playing right now. So I'll be interested. I will say I really hope that Jaden has a really good game, and here's why: because we are now beginning to hear some conversation about Jaden Daniels being in the Heisman.
He deserves it, man. He deserves
Mel
it.
Kiper Mel Kiper picked him to win the Heisman. Surprisingly.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Mel Kiper. Or no. I'm sorry. I think it was Todd McShay. But either way, Todd McShay, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was Todd McShay, not Mel Kiper. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Todd McShay, I think, and I think part of it was him like, hey, let's go a little bit different direction, kind of pick a dark horse. So, he picked Jaden Daniels, and if Jaden has good games these next 3 or to 4 games, I mean, we're talking around 3,000 yards passing, around 1,000 yards rushing for him, and that definitely puts him in the conversation, and I would say in the seat in New York. So
where does his rushing and passing stand right now?
So currently, he is at almost 2,000 yards passing. Y'all, excuse me. And he's at 600, a little over 600 yards rushing. He's got 14 touchdowns through the air, 10 touchdowns on the ground. So he's got 24 total touchdowns. He's only thrown 1 interception, which, again, that 1 interception came against Tennessee and was on the receiver, was not on Jaden. So, Jaden has the potential against a secondary in Arkansas that is not good. They are horrendous. In fact, they are worse than the SEC in giving up.
Which is surprising considering the year that McLaughlin has had.
He's having a great year, but
I guess they throw everywhere else. Everywhere else
is bad. Everywhere else is terrible. So this is an opportunity for Jaden to put up a lot of stats through the air. And we know that he's probably going to be the leading rusher again, unless John Emery pops off or they give Josh Williams a big workload. But we know that's not going to happen because they spread out the carries for the running back. So Jaden's probably going to be your lead rusher. He's obviously going to be your leading passer. But he has an opportunity here to really pad some stats, and I hope he does. I hope this is a game where LSU starts off really fast and kind of puts it to bed early. That's what we want to see. You don't want to see a game where, a couple mistakes happen, Arkansas gets some mojo going, they have some momentum, and then all of a sudden they think they can win the whole thing. You got to snuff this out early, end in Arkansas's hopes, in their chances early on. And I'll ask you this, Reagan, are you worried about it being 11 a.m. start time? This will be their first 11 a.m. start time on the road this season, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, the weather, I would be more worried about the weather than the time. For me, Zach, I know other people, like LSU fans, despise 11 a.m. kickoffs. And, I mean, I would prefer – don't get me wrong. I would prefer a night kickoff. But I just don't care, because it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't. For me, you should be playing – if you're a good football team, a consistent football team, you need to be playing good regardless of the time. Does the time really worry me? Not really. What worries me is it's going to be freezing cold. It's going to be cold. The wind chills will be in the freeze. It won't be actually freezing. But the wind chills, what it will feel like, is going to be freezing.
Yeah.
And LSU hasn't played a game like that yet. Now, Brian Kelly did mention, hey, we were outside practicing, back in January and stuff, But, it's different. I'm not discrediting what he said, at all. But it's different when you get in the game and, you're really competing and it's freezing cold. And Jaden, was Jaden there? I feel like he got there a little bit later, though. Did he not? Or did he get there in January?
I can't remember.
But anyway, that's been a while. I mean, number one, it's been a while since then. it's been a good bit of time since they played in some cold weather, and some of them just haven't played in cold weather. So I'm a little bit concerned about the weather. Like, does that affect
That was in
catching?
March. Jaden committed to LSU in March, so he wasn't playing in January with them.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't get there till spring. Yeah, so Jaden wasn't there during that time. Preparing in the cold during that time. So some of these guys ain't been in the cold, and even if they have been in the cold back in January, like, bro, that was January. That was a while ago. So, can they catch the ball well when their hands are really cold? Can they, do they, how do you stay warm? I would say that would be more of a problem than actually the time. I'm not too worried about the time of the game because for me, it just shouldn't matter.
And Brandon Garner says it's going to be 35 at kickoff.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It's going to be cold.
Fun fact for the show, Al Landry says the last 10 victories against Bama, the Tigers have followed it up with a victory against Arkansas. So the last 10 times they've beat Bama, they've won against Arkansas. Knock on wood.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Knock on wood, Al. Tyler Townsend is not concerned. Says hog roast.
Yes, sir.
Gotta love some hog roast, man. Man, that sounds good right now. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I had me a burger not too long ago, so I already had my beef for the night.
So Reagan,
some pork.
There you go. So Reagan, I guess we probably need to hear soon get into our TA tools for success. But before we get into our tools for success, is there anything else? I guess we need to talk about matchups. Some position group matchups that we need to look at. I think for me the biggest matchup is going to be probably LSU's receivers versus their DBs, and I know that's probably not a great selection because of how terrible Arkansas's DBs are. But the reason I say that is because you can really end the game early with that matchup.
Right.
You can really put the foot on their throat early on with that matchup. I think it's a matchup that extremely heavily favors LSU. Reagan, where's a matchup that you're concerned about for LSU with this Arkansas team?
Honestly, Zach, I don't know if there's any really truly concerned about because I would say our vulnerability is in our secondary, and their receivers just aren't that good, and our secondary has continued to play better. So I'm not too concerned with that. I think exactly, Al. That's exactly what I was about to go to. Is our D line against their O line? Their O line is very good. They probably have the best center in all of college football. So how will our defensive line and just our front seven maybe in general do against their rush attack? Because look, Rocket Sanders is good. I mean, he's a great running back, and they have some other running backs that can come in and do well. And even if KJ's banged up, I think he's a player that's willing to put his body on the line and get himself out there and run the ball. And if it's Malik, he definitely can move. So how will our front seven do against this rushing attack? That would be my biggest matchup for this game. And honestly, our front seven has been so good against the rush, namely Roy and Wingo. I don't want to say I favor LSU in that because I think their O-line is so good, but I think that's going to be the most competitive matchup, I think, of the game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. That's definitely at least the most interesting matchup to watch. So, I mean, is that for you? Is that the position group that would maybe you take Arkansas as the favorite there? Maybe if not, is there another one?
I mean, that's a big maybe. I think I think it's the most competitive. If there is a matchup that I would say I take Arkansas. Okay, maybe I would take their linebackers against like our running backs because Drew Sanders and Bunker Poole are really good.
Really good.
Maybe I'll give them the nod there, but then again, I think our rushing will not. I don't think we'll have too much of a problem to move the ball on the ground tomorrow. I don't think it'll be a struggle.
Yeah. Well, those are definitely matchups that obviously we'll be watching very closely. You'll be watching as you'll be there. But let's take
Absolutely.
a quick break, one last break, I guess, and then we can come back and talk about the TA Tools for Success. We'll be back right after this. Tigers Avenue is proud to announce that we now have TA merchandise. You can find all of our merchandise by heading over to tigersavenue.com and clicking on the merchandise tab. We have everything from t-shirts, hoodies, shorts, joggers, hats, and beanies. We've even got shoes, Converse, and slides. Head over to our accessories tab where you can find blankets, bumper stickers and license plates, magnets and stickers, mugs, bottles, and tumblers, phone cases. You can find tech and office and outdoor products like a mouse pad, a puzzle, a notebook, and more, all at tigersavenue.com. Head on over to tigersavenue.com today, click the merchandise tab, and get yours now. All right, we're back.
Yeah.
If you are just now joining us, yes, Reagan is live from the road heading to Fayetteville. And listen, I got to give Reagan a little crap for it. I wasn't invited. I was not happy about it at all.
Bro.
I completely blame Bobby 100%.
I've been telling you, I didn't plan it. I did not plan it. This is a complete surprise.
I have to sit here at home and enjoy the game from the couch. While Reagan and Bobby get to go all the way down there and get to watch it and have a blast. And, it's fine. It's not like we've been best friends or blood or anything, no biggie. But
I had no idea.
I had to give Reagan and Bobby a hard time. Mainly Bobby, because, like, come on, bro. Like, wow.
Well, we've got to get some gas. So that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, look at Bobby in the background. There's Bobby in the background getting gas.
Shout out to Bobby.
I tell you what, let's get Bobby in this thing. Roll down the window.
Well, I got my AirPod in, so.
He's just waving.
And the car's turned off, so I can't roll the window down.
So where are y'all at right now? Where are y'all at?
Morrilton, Arkansas, I believe.
Okay. So y'all went through Conway already?
Yeah, we did.
Cool. Awesome.
Which, by the way, Arkansas is retarded. Arkansas is absolutely retarded, by the way. For all you Arkansas fans that may be watching. Why in the world is there not an interstate connecting Jonesboro and Fayetteville? What are we doing?
You gotta go
make a
down and then up.
It's stupid.
You gotta go down and across and then up. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. Go open the. Golly.
We got is Bobby getting in or is he still out there?
No, I had to open the. You know where the gas opened.
Look, man, he's cold. He's got the hoodie on and everything, man.
It's chilly. It really is. So it's gonna be cold one tomorrow.
Let's get Bobby's maybe a little bit of from Bobby here, a little bit from him once he gets back in the car. But Reagan, tools for success as we're about to wrap up the show here. Reagan, I'll let you go first. What are your tools for success? What are things that LSU needs to do that are absolutely necessary for them to come away Saturday and bring home the Golden Boot?
I mean, number one, you stop the run, you win this game.
Yep.
Defensively, if you stop the run, you win this game. That's off the top. I mean, if you were able to contain Rocket, Sanders, and their rushing attack, you're going to win this game because their receivers just – I mean, I think Hasselwood is a decent receiver that transferred from Oklahoma. But, look, their receiving – their passing game just hasn't been the best. And I feel like Rocket leads the SEC in the rushing. I mean, because he's a good running back. I'm not going to give him crap like that. But it's almost like out of necessity because he has to run. So he has to run the ball a lot. So there's that. And then secondly, I mean, offensively, you just got to keep doing what you've been doing. If you have a balanced offense, you run the ball well, you throw the ball well, which I think LSU will do really well this game against this secondary that is just not good for Arkansas. You're going to win this game, and you should win it pretty handily. And so that's – you stop the run and you continue to do what you've been doing on defense, you're going to be okay.
I got to say, I mentioned this earlier. For me, I think the biggest thing for me is protect the football. I mentioned earlier, don't do anything that gives Arkansas momentum. Don't do anything that gives them hope that they can win the thing. Immediately just pedal to the – I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Foot on the gas. Foot on the gas, pedal to the metal. That's what I was trying to say.
Pedal to the metal.
Yeah, foot on the gas, pedal to the metal right from the jump. And protect the football because, you give them a couple turnovers and you give them a little bit of life and they're going to think, hey, we can win this thing. So you need to snuff that out early. I want to see them attack, Reagan. I want to see them attack vertically downfield. We mentioned, obviously, that Arkansas has a very weak secondary, worst in the league. So I want to see them attack that, exploit that weakness in Arkansas, take some deep shots, try and open this thing up early, and put them in a hole early in the game. So that, for me, protect the football and be aggressive. So I hope that they don't come out flat, obviously. I mean, I know you talked about being an 11 a.m. game. I don't think that'll be a problem. I don't think they'll come out flat. And obviously, as BK has harped on, it's a mental thing. So to the players, they have got to come out mentally prepared for this game, not looking ahead to A&M or Atlanta and Georgia. They got to come out mentally prepared for this game tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Is Bobby in the car yet, or is he over there getting?
Can you still hear me, Zach? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I switched my AirPods over, so he got back here.
All right, Bobby is joining us. Hello, Bobby. How are you? You jerk. I'm just kidding. Love you.
Being sad. I don't know what it is.
I'm not sad. I'm salty. I am salty. Not sad, but salty. So Bobby, you're heading to the. First off, we didn't get you to come on after the Bama game. How was that? You were there. Also, you're lame for not storming the field. I don't care that you were millions. I don't care that you were 100 million, bleachers up. You should have stormed that thing.
Or your
wife. My wife was pregnant and didn't want to get trained.
All I hear is excuses.
Yeah. Man, there's nothing like Saturday night in Death Valley. Like, it was a surreal experience. And to beat Bama at home for the first time since 2010 was incredible. I mean, there are no words to describe it. It was awesome. I mean, Mason Taylor caught the game-winning catch in the corner where we were sitting at. I mean, I posted a video on Facebook. You probably saw. I went crazy like a little kid, hugged some random guy. I mean, it was awesome. It was great.
I did see you hug a random guy. Also, she's like, "Oh, we won! We won!"
I mean, it was so like we We had dominated the whole game. It felt like we just couldn't get that little bit to just pull away.
Yeah, in the fourth.
But the atmosphere in the stadium felt like we were just killing them. I mean, the scoreboard just didn't reflect the way it felt like we were beating them.
Yeah.
And so, like, to come to the end of the game and think, like, man, we had to do a 2-point conversion to win the game didn't feel real. So, like, you know, we're sitting there like, man, we're about to win this game. And they drive down the field, take it to overtime, and you're kind of like, oh, man. And feeling the atmosphere there, going for 2 was the call. Like, there was no question about it. Going for 2 was the best thing to do. I mean, Bama could not stop the short plays. It just seemed like the thing to do. I will say, though, I looked at the guy next to me and said, or I told my wife on the way home, you know, we had stopped 2 of their 2-point conversions. And correct me if I'm wrong, in overtime, too, you have to go for 2, right?
In the second overtime.
Second overtime. So it's like, okay, maybe you don't go for 2 because you've stopped 2 of them already. But being there, the atmosphere, I mean, Jaden went off for a 25-yard run. He had all the momentum in the world. It's just like, go for 2 was the call. That was the thing to do.
Yeah.
So it was incredible. Tiger Stadium was electric. Leaving it,
Came back from the dead.
I mean, yes,
Back
it was
from the dead.
It was incredible. It was awesome.
So, Bobby, obviously, awesome moment for you there. Going to Fayetteville. What are your thoughts about the Arkansas game? I know me and Reagan have talked about it a lot, but what are your thoughts?
It's gonna be cold. That's my thoughts. You know, the trap game's the talk. And I've, you know, as I've been driving, I've been listening to you guys. Brian Kelly is clear on preparation. I mean, in details. He always talking about the next week ahead. I think under a coach like Les Miles at O, you know, it's a trap game. Under Brian Kelly, I think it's a different story. Now, at the end of the day, like Reagan and I have been talking about the rest of the season, you have to play the game. So let's not get too caught up and think looking towards Texas A&M or even Georgia and Atlanta. Let's play tomorrow. Let's get through tomorrow. I mean, for the first time ever, I'm a Bama fan tomorrow too because I want.
I know, right?
I think tomorrow is our game to lose. I do,
Yeah,
especially with KJ being out and the other complications they have going on. I think tomorrow is our game to lose.
I agree. So, guys, let's get a score prediction, and then we'll call it. We'll call it a night, and let y'all get over to Fort Smith. I've got a party to go to, so I'm living the life up over here. So I guess let's go ahead and let's start with Bobby. Since he was just talking there, let's talk with Bobby. Bobby, what you think?
I think with KJ potentially out, as good as our defense has been, I'm going to go 35-14. Pretty good win for us. Taking the West.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I like the way you put that. Taking the West. Love it. Here's my prediction. LSU wins 31-17. 31-17. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm kind of with y'all there. I'm going.
You beat them
Since since one of y'all went 31 and since one of y'all went 35 or 38.
Right. 35 and 31.
All right, I'll go 38. You know, we scored 32 on Bama. I think we can score a little bit more on Arkansas with how bad their defense is. Yeah, it's on the road, but I got LSU 38-23.
38-23.
38-23. And Tigers win, and then only a few hours later, they secure the West when Ole Miss loses by 2 touchdowns to Alabama.
Let's go.
All right, guys. Well, y'all be safe.
Absolutely.
Let's call it a night. We've enjoyed all of our listeners, all of our viewers. Really excited about tomorrow. Hopefully the Tigers come out victorious and Ole Miss gets beat like a drum by Alabama. I have to agree with Bobby for the first time in forever. Maybe ever. We are Bama fans tomorrow. So roll Tide. I should have said
Roll Tide, baby.
Roll Tide, Colt Bear, baby. Woohoo. All right, guys. It's been a blast. we will talk to y'all on Monday when we recap everything. All right, 5-star hero, take us out.
Peace.
Peace.
That